I hope you have been enjoying the holidays. You are back with Third Shot Podcast, and we are super excited for this upcoming episode. But before we jump into it, please go to our social media. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Third Shot Podcast. We're also on X at Third Shot Pod. And you can also check out our website, thirdshotpodcast.com, where we have all of our previous episodes, blog posts, and some fun apparel that's Third Shot Podcast related. Uncle Greg, you ready to
Yes,
do this?
I am still ready. Let's go. Cheers.
Cheers. What are you drinking today?
I am drinking soju cherry flavored.
Ooh, is that a new one?
It's a new one to me.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's very, very good. I just got this recently and I'm a fan. When you have a lot of drinks or fruit flavors, right? What's
hmm
your go-to fruit flavored drink, whether it's water or whatever?
Fruit flavored drink. Cherry is always good. Like that's kind of my go-to for candy, like fruity candy too. It's like cherry or strawberry. It's like you can't really go wrong with either of them. I think sometimes cherry can taste a little bit medicinal because like as a kid with like the liquid medicine, they have it cherry flavored, but it does not taste anything like cherry. So if it leans that way, I prefer the strawberry, but those are kind of like my two go-tos. What about
Yeah,
yourself?
same, totally with you. It's like the red, if you know
Red
lifesavers, they
Eddie.
have all the different colors or Skittles or whatever to have different colors. If it's red, I probably like it. So
Yes.
cherry and strawberry are typically the ones.
Well, I went to Korean barbecue recently, and when I was there, I saw something that made me think of you because it's soju, but it's like a slushy, and it was passion fruit mango. And I know it's not red, but passion fruit is
And
like one of my
mango.
favorite tastes. Yes, and mango too.
Ugh, I would die for that.
Next time you're in Vegas, but the food wasn't great, so I don't know if I would
Oh,
take you
really?
there. We could just go for drinks or something and then get better Korean barbecue.
What was it about this barbecue that wasn't that great? The quality of the meat?
Yes, so their options I felt like were kind of limited because some of the places we've gone to, it's like an extensive list of different
Yeah.
meats you can have. And they were out of some of the sides that we were hoping to have, but yet we still had to pay the full price. The service was just kind of like okay. And then the grill taste, like on the meat, you can kind of taste the grill for some reason, and so that was kind of off-putting. So it was just not the best. It was
Uh,
still edible and good, but like we've been to some pretty good Korean barbecue places, and this one just doesn't compete.
well, when I choose a Korean barbecue, I don't just go for edible.
Right. You want the best.
You're trying to describe a restaurant, it's edible. I'm like, I don't know if I want food there, it's well, which turning this into a pickleball question, if
Okay.
you go to pickleball facilities, we've gone to different ones, whether indoor courts, outdoor courts, right? What do you look for? What do you look for that makes those courts better than just the average court?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Let me think for a sec. I think one thing that I would look for is kind of ambiance. Like I want to be inside of the facility for a reason, right? Like I prefer being outside just because I like being outdoors, but inside I think it comes down to like lighting. If the music is too loud, I don't like to be in there because then it's really tough to hear the person next to me and kind of like have conversations and stuff like that. And I want it to be just like a fun, welcoming environment. Where some, it could be like dimly lit, the music could be too loud, it could be no music at all, and it just feels like you're in a sterile
So you
environment.
want some music, but not loud music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
What's one of yours?
So I've gone to so many facilities, both indoor and outdoor, that the ball rolls onto my court just way too often. It's like
I know where you're headed for.
divided. they're not divided, and you're just always like you're in the greatest point of all time, and the ball rolls on and ball on, and then, I was just about to put something away. I was gonna hit a winner and ball on, and like, and then I hate it when you hit the winner and then somebody calls ball on right at the split second that you hit the winner and they knew they're gonna lose the point and they go, "Oh, I'm sorry. It was distracting." Oh, come on. You knew you were
Yeah,
gonna lose that point. It didn't matter. No,
exactly. Yeah,
I'm
that's so disappointing.
I'm joking. It's totally understandable, but but so I like division, right? I like the
Yeah.
courts somewhat so that there's a fence or something to stop the balls from constantly rolling on. The court that I took you to up here that I play at, it's just 4 courts straight across, and there's no division between those 4 courts. So we get balls rolling into each other's court all day long, all day long.
Mm,
So that kinda gets to me. Um, One of the things that I don't see standard on courts, but what my friends do is they have an app on their phone that, you can record the matches,
mhm.
and it'll give you stats, right? So
Oh,
every player, you can see hit this many winners or this many percentage of serves went in. One of the things that, my ego got hooked on was how hard is every shot going, right? And
ye
I was like, oh, I get to see how hard I'm in there, right? And
yeah.
you start hitting it way too hard. You start swinging way too much because you're getting rated. It's kind of like golf. When you know you're at Top Golf and it shows you how far you're hitting every drive, to the yard, you
Yes.
start swinging a little harder, right? You want to like, oh, I can get it out there. Watch me. I'm gonna hit the back fence with this drive. That's kinda what happened to me on pickleball. I was like, I'm just driving the heck out of it to see how fast can I hit the serve, right? And then you
That's
go
so
back and listen to it after or watch it afterwards. So that was kinda cool.
Yeah, that is. That's kinda like in bowling too. I think there's some settings that you can change the screen where it shows you, like, how fast your bowling ball is going, and then it keeps, like, other stats, but I can see how that would be, like, turn into a focus of yours while you're playing just to kinda increase the speed of how hard you're hitting it.
Well, the first time my friend set it up, I didn't realize it had that function. And then he sent it to me, and I watched it, and I go, "Hey, what's that? 26 miles per hour. Oh, 28 miles per well, hey, it's gauging every shot." I'm like, "Oh, so next time you set it up, I knew it was there, right?" So I was like, "Oh, watch this. I'm gonna hit it hard. I'm gonna remember to go back on this one and see see what
How
my
fast
speed
was
is."
the fastest that you got?
I don't remember, but, my serves were going around 26 miles per hour.
I feel like that's pretty good, right?
I was happy with it. I was
Fast.
happy with they
Yeah.
were going in, and they were going 26 miles per hour. So, some of the other shots you could hit harder, but to make sure that your serve stayed in, or at least for me, that was kinda my good speed. And I
Yeah.
and I thought about so I haven't done it a 3rd time yet, but I thought about I've been thinking about this a lot, right? So I thought about, like, how you have that serve where you kinda, like, spin it into the front little corner of, the court to kinda get an
Yeah.
ace, right? I go, "I should practice those on camera to see what speed I should be hitting it at to kinda get that to
Yeah.
get that distance right." So
That's a
that's
good
my
idea.
next thing when he brings his little phone and app out there, and he's got his tripod, and he sets it up perfectly. I love it. It's so cool.
So if you were to put it at a facility, what would your idea be to, like, have some place to set up the phone so you could
Yeah,
record? Yeah.
right? I think we talked
So that
about
way
that
you
at
don't
a
have to
previous
set up
episode, right?
yeah, that
Like,
way you
have
don't have to
some
set
type
up a
of
tripod.
stand. Because the problem with, a lot of courts that there's not enough room behind each court to
Mm,
set it up so you get the full court.
right.
So if a facility thought that through and had places already or cameras already set up or anything like that, that got the full court so you don't have blind spots, and you get the stats that you're looking for all types of shots, I think that would be perfect.
Yeah, I agree. And I got another thing to add to our imaginary facility that we're creating. Wouldn't it be cool if there was like a spot inside of it, maybe like near a pro shop, where it was like a counter that had everything you needed to like rewrap your paddle, like your paddle handle you could do. They had like erasers up there, just some things that you can kind of like use to help maintain your equipment.
I think that is a really good idea. Or, at bowling alleys, they have the pro shop where you bring your bowling ball in and they'll repair it.
Mhm. Yeah.
At the pickleball clubs that I've been to that has a pro shop that they sell you stuff, they don't necessarily have a repair counter.
Mm.
So if they
See?
had somebody that had there to repair, I think that is a really good idea, Bridgie.
Yeah.
And
Or
and
to
they would
like,
sell grips, right? They would sell
yeah,
grips because there's so many different grips out there. You get to try them out, and then you go, "Oh,
and
I like
paddle
this one."
weight. Yeah.
Yes,
Totally.
the paddle weights. I like that idea too. Oh my gosh, you got it.
I know. And then we just need a facility now. Come on.
Well, our guests today, they are taking the leap that we did not take.
Dang.
They they are starting their own facility. We have Karen and Brian Birdy. They are opening up a Dill Dinkers pickleball club in San Antonio. And they're going to be coming on and sharing what to expect when they open up the club. And while we bring them on, it gives everybody an opportunity to look down if you're on YouTube right now and subscribe to this, our third shot uh, YouTube. What is it? YouTube broadcast? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh,
Our channel. We've got a channel.
channel. See, my dog is saying, "Everybody go and do that." He's encouraging everybody to join our channel and subscribe. And if you're just listening on Spotify or Apple, please subscribe. It really does help our show out, and we appreciate all the support. Go on to Instagram or Facebook, Third Shot Podcast. Find us there on X, Third Shot Pod. And definitely go to our website, which is thirdshotpodcast.com. So, on that, hey, let's share our cool ideas if they haven't already thought of them already with the Karen and Brian. Hi, Karen and Brian. Welcome to Third Shot Podcast.
Hi.
Hey, thank you.
Yes.
We're so excited to have the two of you on our show and to find out more about Dill Dinkers. But before we get into it, we're going to do a little toast to
All right.
Brian and Karen with Dill Dinkers.
Hey,
Woohoo!
Look at
cheers.
the birdie juice.
I
Yeah, I
love
got
the
birdie
birdie juice.
juice, and this is an invented drink. It's called the Twisted Pickle.
That
Cheers.
is so ironic because I'm wearing my Twisted Pickle t-shirt.
Whoa.
Pretty
I
good.
wonder why. We got to say thanks to Ashley and Suzanne
Right.
over at Twisted Pickle.
Yes, for the introduction.
All right. Hey, well, that's a great way to start. I think that's the first time on any podcast that I've started with taking a shot. So,
That's what makes us special.
Yeah. And our show, very special.
You'll always remember this.
I will. I'm pretty sure I will.
Well, we can't wait to hear more, but we're going to start from the very beginning. If you could just let us and our listeners know how the two of you met.
Oh, that's a crazy story. So, I'm from San Antonio, Texas. That's where I moved to when I was 13 years old. But Karen's from Northwest Illinois. But both of our paths, we're the same age, born the same year, graduated from high school the same year. Both decided at almost the same time to join the Air Force. So I joined in December of 1984 and traveled from downtown San Antonio across town to where basic training is. And Karen joined.
I joined in January of 1985, and I flew into San Antonio from Northern Illinois.
So we both went.
That was actually the same year that San Antonio had how many inches of snow?
15 inches of snow while we were in basic training. Lost a training day. And of
Yep.
course, the first thing to do is shave your head when for guys, shave your head. So my poor bald head was freezing.
Oh my gosh.
But the two of you didn't meet at basic training, right?
No, we didn't meet
No.
in basic training. It's funny how that starts. So we both join, we go in the Air Force. I get stationed. I go to personnel school and become a personnel specialist and get stationed at Lackland Air Force Base, which is in San Antonio.
I went to technical school for accounting, which was in northern Texas, Shepherd Air Force Base. And then I got stationed at Lackland Air Force Base.
And my building was right next door to her building. And we worked next to each other for 7 years.
Yeah, I was there 8 years. So probably 7 years.
Yeah. And didn't know each other or even meet each
We
other.
knew the same people. Yeah.
I joined recruiting service in San Antonio and actually started recruiting in San Antonio in 92 for about 2 years. And then I took an assignment to go to Florida to recruit doctors for the Air Force. And that's about the time.
A year later, about 93, I joined recruiting service, just like he did. And
So where did you meet?
And I got stationed in north of Tampa, which was about probably an hour and a half from where he lived.
Mhm.
So yes.
And then, of course, at this
We
time,
were married
we were
to
both
other
married
people.
before and everything else. But then, without knowing each other and doing all that, both of our marriages end
Fell apart.
when we're in recruiting service, both in Florida now. And then that is when we actually met each other for the first time at a recruiting convention that we both had to attend. And we both show up single for the first time in a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. It was like meant to be, you couldn't.
It was
you couldn't not
crazy.
meet.
So, yeah, so we start dating, and at that point, I'm a single dad of 3 kids, and she didn't have any children, so she's taken on a whole family role and everything. But before we get married, we're still in the Air Force, and I'm like, my intentions were to come back to San Antonio. In recruiting service, you can kind of guide yourself a little bit. She took an assignment before me, like in November of.
Well, I got out of recruiting.
No, you came
No,
here
I
in
came here.
recruiting.
No, I'm sorry. You're right.
And
Yeah.
then I
came
didn't follow until 6 months later. And so she kind of like rolled the dice and hoped that I'd actually be able to get assigned there, which I did. So then we were both back in San Antonio, both working in recruiting service. And that's when we actually got married, and then have been together ever since. So
I love the fact that you said roll the dice, because I see all the dice behind you. So all the people that are watching on YouTube right now, that is so perfect. So neither of you are in the Air Force anymore. What did you two do after the Air Force?
So I got out first. My dad had started and been running a real estate company that specializes in property management here in town, and he really needed help. I was working part-time for him while I was still in, and I ended up getting out of the Air Force after serving for 15 years to come and kind of invest in that business and see what I could do with it. So, and then about 2 years later,
I retired from the Air Force.
Yep. So she retired, and then her intentions were not to go to work in the business. But I was growing dramatically, quickly, and it was keeping me very busy. I was pretty much at work all day long, 7 days a week. And she basically said, I think I need to come work with you. I can come do your accounting stuff. I can be in charge of all of that part of it, because she's like, at least if I come to work with you, I can see you, because you're working so much. If I work with you, I'll see you more than I'm seeing you right now. So
That's so supportive.
that's it. So she came and ripped the accounting part out of my hands, because I was not really good at delegating and letting things go at that point. I had to learn.
Oh, it was awful.
I had to learn. I had to learn how to do that.
It was awful.
But from that point, we grew it together. So now it's truly a 3-generation family business. My dad started it. Karen and I own it and run it. But my brother works there. All 3 of my kids, my daughter-in-law, her niece, and we have about 55 employees that work for us now. So we took this little small thing that was just a one-man shop and have grown it to, we're the largest residential property manager in South Texas. And we manage long-term single family and small multifamilies. We do vacation rental management, and we do association management. And then we have our own investor-focused brokerage, and is all tied together. So we can help people buy an investment property, manage that investment property until they're ready to sell it. And that's kind of been our world for the last, 25 years.
Well, give a plug to the company name.
Oh yeah, so it's PMI Birdie Properties. It's named right after us, BIRDY. We have one of the things my dad did really, really early was he got our website before people knew what websites are. So our website is birdy.com.
Nice.
Oh,
Smart
perfect.
man.
Yeah, so he didn't do anything with it for years, but he owned it, and now there's for the past 30 years, people have been trying to buy that URL from me, and I'm like, no, we like it.
Not for
Yeah,
sale.
it's
Yeah,
perfect.
hard to have a 5-letter URL that defines you perfectly. So yeah, so
Right.
anybody who's looking at investing in real estate or owns property in San Antonio, or is looking for a property manager in San Antonio, that is what we do, and you can find us at birdy.com.
We have a lot of investors too. We have a gentleman that owns about 15 homes.
No, 35.
I'm sorry, 35 homes.
Mhm.
So he's our biggest investor, but there are also other investors that own more than one home. And so
San Antonio for the longest time was filled with military members who would buy a home, then they would leave and it wouldn't be time to sell their home. So they were like, what am I going to do? So we would rent it out. It's a pretty strong rental community. There are times where we have a lot of California investors because at times it was much easier to buy a house in San Antonio than it was to buy a house in California. So a lot of people would liquidate their assets in California and then see how many homes they could buy in San Antonio. So we have a lot of we have investors from all over the world now, but for a while there, especially in I think at probably 3, 4, and 5, we were getting California investors on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Well, you've grown it immensely, and it sounds like you've had your hands full. So at what point did the two of you take on pickleball and add that into the mix of everything you have going on?
Well, I think it started really during the pandemic in 2020 when we were our whole business was continuing to thrive and survive with people working at home. We were learning how to become Zoom experts and doing all the digital stuff that we just think is second nature now, right? And when San Antonio said, "Hey, you can gather in small groups when you're outside," well, Karen's old tennis club where she used to play tennis at had said, "Hey, we're going to start offering, pickleball on our tennis courts."
they had open play.
Yeah, they had open play, and it was just kind of getting the word out. And I think a lot of the visibility and the growth around the current trend of pickleball, that was a big spark for it because people were like, we were looking for community, we were looking to get out, we were looking to do something. That's kind of how we started. We did that. Chicken and Pickle opened here. And Chicken and Pickles.
Shortly, they opened in like 2021, right after the pandemic.
Yeah, they were supposed to open in the middle of that, but of course
so
they got delayed.
They opened late, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But so once they went indoors, we went, oh, that sounds a lot better because it's rather hot here in most of the time, and playing outdoors is a bit of a task for us. We don't usually have very cool, beautiful days. It's either rainy, windy, or hot. There's not usually a perfect day.
That sounds like Vegas, huh, Bridgie?
I was just gonna say that's very relatable out here.
Yeah, so we went to Chicken and Pickle and started with their beginners league and started to learn how to play and created our own little community of people and realized how fun this was. And we were playing pretty much nonstop for about a year, and then Karen broke her ankle in a non-pickleball related incident. She missed the last step going down the steps, and her foot bent in the wrong direction and broke all the bones in her ankle. So we were out of pickleball for a year.
So you didn't play either during that time?
I didn't. So we were busy doing other things. And if she wasn't playing, I was helping take care of her, and we were doing lots of things. So we didn't go play. We always played kind of together. So it was like our thing. And I didn't go play by myself. And so we said, hey, when it was time for us to go back, we went back to Chicken and Pickle, and we found it almost impossible to get a court. Mm-hmm. They have 6 indoor courts, but it had changed within that year that now the availability was really, really tough. And then also when we got there, I stood around and I looked around, and I could tell the age group of the room had dropped about 15 years in that 1 year's time. And I was like, wow, things are really changing as to what this pickleball community is. I started doing a little research online. I read a few articles. I said, hey, Karen, there's got to be other places to play.
I actually found the article that, I don't know what it was. I saw it on Facebook about Dill Dinkers and about Will and Denise. And so I showed it to Brian. I said, this is interesting. And then we started talking about it then. So
she found another place that's, and we were driving 40 minutes to get to Chicken and Pickle. So it wasn't like it was right down the street. There wasn't anything really close to us. We found a smaller place over in New Braunfels. It had 3 courts, but Karen went and said, hey, it's basically an old warehouse
made out of Lego blocks.
And they put the little plastic court down. It wasn't a concrete court. It wasn't a cushion court. It was just that plastic surface that they roll out. And she's like, she didn't like it at all.
No.
And so that is really what the spark was. Cause I sat here, I did a research of all outdoor courts, all indoor courts for all of my county and the surrounding 7 counties. And what I realized was we didn't have any. And if you looked at the ratings, they started being pickleball ratings there as the best pickleball cities, the ones with the most courts, what your average court per population should be. And it became very clear that we weren't anywhere close to that. And I said, we probably could do a better job than the other place that had opened. And she goes, well, what would we do? And I said, well, I knew about franchising. I've worked with a franchisor in the past in property management. And so I said, hey, let's just check out a franchise models. Who's out there doing this right now that has kind of figured out the way to do this? And so we researched every existing franchise at the day we were looking. Since then, there's probably 5 new ones that have started, but but at that time, there were only a handful. Some of them expected you to build from the ground up. Some of them will only cover to certain states. And then we really started to see Dill Dinkers model, and Will and Denise, not uncommon as to what our background was, because he was in the Air Force, right?
Oh.
And he was in a franchise before he did this, and
they're about our age.
Yeah, they're about our. I mean, so it's like, wow, we have a lot in
common.
We were like, we have a lot in common. So I sent out an inquiry about, hey, what is this all about? And I got Ben L'Italian, who is helping them develop and grow this thing. He's from Franchise Well and has partnered with Dill Dinkers to grow the franchise model. He responded back and said, hey, Brian, I'm glad you're interested. We're having our very first discovery day, and we don't even have a franchise disclosure document finalized yet. And my franchising world told me, I know what a discovery day, and they're having their very first one, and they don't even have an FDD, which means they can't sell you anything. So I told Karen, I said, I think we should go. This is going to be a great, we can go, have fun, meet these people, play some pickleball, find out what their plan is all about, and see if it has any merit to it. And so we flew out to Columbia, which is a suburb of Baltimore, Maryland, and we met the crowd. Brian Lloyd, their chief pickleball officer. I mean, everything they had put together and all the people who were there really got our attention. I was like, we were so impressed with the people and their plan. We were like, you know what? I think we can do this. I mean, our entrepreneurial spirit had already kind of sparked. I felt like we were way ahead of the rush into doing this. Because I mean, even now today, since this has happened, I think we've only opened 3 indoor courts in our city. So we're still in a dire need. I mean, there's going to be more people coming, more franchises coming, and I want them all to come. I welcome them all, because when you look at it, we became the regional developers of the entire San Antonio market, so we can open up to 20 clubs over the next 10 years. Wow. And if you look at average size and everything, there's 2 million people, but I only need 16,000 members to fill up all 20 of those clubs.
So is that the plan? You're going to shoot for 20?
Whether I own them or if somebody comes and wants to buy in the franchise and I can support them in opening their clubs, the goal is we're going to hopefully, between our owned ones and individuals buying a franchise and opening them, we're going to want to open all 20 of them and fill them all up. And that is less than 1% of the population. So the model, when you look at it, is like, okay, I don't need everybody in San Antonio to come play at my club. I only need less than 1%.
So Karen,
which is pretty achievable.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fantastic model. I'm just curious, Karen, from your perspective, like what can players expect when they come and they join Dill Dinkers?
Well, we want to make a community. We want to create a community. We want members to go in there and see all their friends and be able to play pickleball and associate with each other and all that.
Yeah, that's cool. I got a little, no pun intended, but yes, pun intended. A little birdie told me the facility is coming along fantastic, and the
Oh,
craftsmanship of how you're building the courts and dividing them up is really quality.
Well, what we're looking at when you say, okay, I can go play pickleball anywhere, I can go play pickleball at the city park for free. So why am I going to want to become a member? Why am I going to want to come into your location, right? So we're like, okay, first off, we want it to be a fun place to play pickleball and to learn pickleball and to be able to play at your level. And we're like, okay, we recognize what's less than perfect in most pickleball situations. Well, in my city, weather is a big factor. It's hot. It's windy, right? And then having to wait to play when you go to a court because there's a crowd of people and the rules aren't always being followed. And you're like, how am I going to get on? And then being able to play with like leveled people that when you show up, you're playing with the like leveled people. So what we're building all pro cushion courts, which is a special product. I think it came out of Germany. And so it adds a layer of cushion. Their motto is annihilate your opponents, not your joints. And so, so all of ours are going to be pro cushion courts, which makes it easier to play longer, right? It creates something different that you don't find outside. Every court is individually fenced. So your game stays in your game and your opponents in the other courts games stay where they're supposed to go. So you don't keep getting interrupted in the middle of your play with all the stray balls, which is a common occurrence in most setups that are out there. Of course, special LED sports lighting that's designed and placed appropriately for pickleball, right? So now you're talking about we're controlling the weather, we're controlling the lighting, we're controlling the interruptions, we're giving you a better surface to play on. And then we're going to have smart digital courts where we'll actually have cameras on the courts filming it. So if you're a member and you walk up just by being a member for no extra money, you have a code. You can just walk up and on the app, click it, and then the cameras will film your session. You can review your play later. You can zoom in and see if that out call was really out, if that's what really bothered you. And then we're partnering with Duper Coach, and you're able to, if you want to. Now this is an added expense because you'll choose to become a member of My Duper Coach, but you'll be able to take that video and send it up to My Duper Coach, and someone like Colin Johns or Martina Coakley or some other professional player will evaluate your play, give you recommendations of clinics or lessons or leagues or things. They know the Dill Dinker model, so they'll recommend, here, these are the things you need to be doing, and you should be working and focusing on these certain things, and they can continue doing that and growing their game. Plus, we'll be bringing in certified coaches. All of our coaches will be Duper Coach certified, which means they'll have the ability to, on the spot, by watching your play, be able to establish your duper level and be able to make sure that you're that it's recorded properly within the system, and then you can keep building off of that. It's a new thing that they just came out with, and all of our coaches who work with us will be certified. You'll be able to do clinics and open plays and leagues, and eventually we'll have tournaments. And so that whole community of playing pickleball. And then eventually what our goal is as you open number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, is when you're a member of Dill Dinkers, you can play anywhere, any Dill Dinkers. You're a member. You come in at member pricing once you're a member. And matter of fact, you can play in any city. So if you're a traveling individual, eventually there'll be a Dill Dinkers in every state across the nation, where they've only been selling franchises for a year, and they've already sold 29 regions that are developing and a number of individual locations. I think the one they just announced is in Ohio. They just announced their first Ohio franchise that already has a lease and is going to start building their location out.
That's awesome. It sounds like you all are offering like everything, and even things that I didn't even think existed with the video footage. Everybody wants their games recorded. They want to see their ATPs and their cool shots and everything, so they can put it on their Instagram and whatever else. But that's awesome.
Well, some of us just want to hit an ATP sometime in our future.
Yeah, right.
Hit the ball sometimes.
The funny thing is, Karen and I are probably like 2.8 rated players.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not the greatest. We're not like we're coming in here as a 4.0 saying, well, I just love pickleball. It's so much fun. I believe it's easy to learn. And I love the community around it. Now, what I hope is by doing all this, I find more time to play and maybe an ability to get better at this, and I can maybe improve my game, which would be fun also.
Yeah. You don't have to be the best to do something that you love. Like Uncle and I, we play recreationally when we can, but it is really that community aspect, I think, that keeps us in it and loving it. I was wondering, how many other states do you know have Dill Dinkers available already?
Well, Dill Dinkers started in
Maryland,
and they opened 4 locations. And like I said, we actually ended up being their very first franchise. We're franchise number 1, or regional developer number 1, and the court we're opening is actually numbered as club number 5 because they had opened 4. We're actually the 5th. Now they've opened another one, but they are in a lot of places in Maryland, of course, because the surrounding areas got gobbled up. But Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Connecticut, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Ohio. Did I miss any? And those are all in development. Now, there are 2 open in Pennsylvania, 1 open in Connecticut. This month, they're opening in
Crowley, Texas.
Yeah, Crowley, Texas, Sarasota, Florida, and one more somewhere else. Following right behind that, Atlanta, Georgia, San Antonio, Texas. That's ours. Is all coming very early at the beginning of the year. They're developing one in Orlando. I think they've sold in Florida. They've actually done pretty good. They sold St. Pete. They've sold Tampa, Orlando, the Space Coast, Jacksonville, and people are developing in all those. They're in Charlotte, North Carolina. They're opening one in Hilton Head, South Carolina this month. And those are the 3. The 3 next ones that open are Crowley, Texas, Sarasota, Florida, and Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Wow. I mean, it is sprouting up all over the place.
Yeah.
And what's cool is, like you said, as a member, you get to go to any of those locations. It's included. So tell us a little bit about memberships. How much do they cost, and what are the benefits of being a member of Dill Dinkers?
So memberships are based because these are all individually owned and operated locations within a franchise model. And a lot's going to come down to what city are you in, what space did they find, what kind of rents is going on. So it won't be exactly the same at every location. But San Antonio's demographic was very, very similar to Columbia. And a lot of people are staying very close to this model. So our memberships are $400 for a year or $40 per month. If you wanted to pay monthly. So you get 2 months free by paying in advance. We're currently offering our Founder Club members, the first 100 people who buy in as our founders are going to get a 15% discount on their membership for life. So that drops it down to about $340, which a lot of people are interested in. Our waiting list is open. We do cap our memberships. And by being a member, you pay your membership and then you pay to play. So by keeping that price really, really low, you then decide how do you want to play. And so you can rent a court yourself. And that'll be, again, based on each location. My location, San Antonio, it'll be $28 an hour to rent a court for an hour by yourself if all 4 members are playing. And the system that we're using through Court Reserve will let you and your friends who are all members just sign up. Each one of you pay. So it costs you $7 an hour to play, basically. But then there'll be things like open plays, and open plays could be $8 for 2 hours. Some of the off times may only be $5 for a 2-hour open play. And those things, of course, will sell out. There'll be clinics that will go up. There'll be leagues that will be priced. Everything that's priced is 50% off to a member. And so, and they have access to the calendar 7 days before any event. We're going to cap out membership at about 500 members at this location because this location is only going to have 5 courts. And so once we have 500 members, everyone else will be a non-member, will be on a waiting list. And when the events open, if the members sell out all the available positions, then that's it. No non-members will be able to play. But if not, 2 days before an event, it opens up to everyone and non-members can come in and play. If courts are available, non-members can rent out a court, but where it's $28 for a member, it's $56 for a non-member per hour. And it's broken down. If you're coming in with 3 members and you have 1 non-member, each person's dealt with individually and priced out that way. And each person can pay for their share through the software, really designed well. Great app. You can do it all from your phone. You have your own little QR code. When you walk in, you can check in. The system will tell you where you're supposed to go, whether you're in a league or an open play or a clinic, and it'll guide you to the courts. There'll be TVs and music and just a lot of fun.
It sounds like it's really going to pay off to be a member, though, because you've got that early access and great pricing on it. For go ahead.
We're hoping just that. So we opened our waiting list about 4 weeks ago, and we have 264 people already on our signed up waiting list who are hoping to get into our Founders Club and get the discount, and even our reduced inductory rate that we'll have after that, before we end up just selling it at our regular pricing. So our goal is to try to actually sell the club out as fast as we possibly can.
Well, I think it's doable. It sounds like you've got the demographic there ready and probably just waiting at the door for it to open. Do you have an opening date already set?
So we have early 2025. The landlord had to do some work, had to remove some items, some offices in an upper mezzanine area. The place that we're in was an old grocery store years and years ago. I'm not sure if it was a Kroger and Albertsons, but the space that we're in, they still had some of that upper deck officing that they used to have at the back of the grocery store. And they had to remove all that stuff. Things were going well. As they removed everything out, they found a column.
In the middle of court 4.
Yeah, in the middle of our courts. So we had to quickly sit down, look at what we had, got served up a lot of lemons, and I'm real good at making lemonade. So we found a way to make lemonade. As we're sitting there, we're like, well, what if we bulldoze the bathrooms, move all the courts in a different angle, and build new bathrooms? Would this work? And the architect and the engineer get in there and look everything out, and they go, you know what? It will work. So that knocked us off a little bit. We were hoping to open around the first week or two of January, but we're probably, because of that, have bumped it to probably mid-February. So we're not too far off.
Yeah.
No, not at all. And for people that want to learn more, what's the best way for them to go online to learn more about what you're doing?
Well, you can go to dilldinkers.com, and under locations, you can find our San Antonio. And you can also see all the other locations, kind of see what's going on. But you can certainly come to our page. It says coming soon. Of course, it has the waiting list, which you want to get on, because here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to start selling memberships. And like I said, the first 100 are going to get a great deal. The next 100 is probably going to get a pretty good deal. And then hopefully what we can do is sell this out. We have our own Facebook page, Dill Dinkers Blanco Market. We have an Instagram page. Easy way to follow and see what's going on and be in the know of what's happening. So
awesome. Well, if you're in the San Antonio area and you're listening, please make sure you go check out their facility once it opens. We're super excited to see pictures. And thank you both so much for sharing everything about your facility. It sounds wonderful. We're going to do one more toast.
Okay, well, we have a little saying.
Oh, that's right.
For our club.
Oh, yeah.
We do. It's like, let's play pickleball, y'all.
Well, cheers to that. Let's play pickleball, y'all.
Let's play pickleball, y'all. Oh, I don't know about this. My twisted pickle's a little twisted.
Before we let you go, Karen, I got to ask you, because recently we did an episode about couples playing pickleball together.
Okay.
What's it like playing pickleball with Brian?
We have to learn to communicate. It's okay. It's okay. Usually when it goes down the middle, he'll say, I was supposed to hit it. When he's
no, we're into games. We love competing. We're both very competitive. We love to play together. I think this is probably the only sport. We've tried a lot of sports.
When I played tennis, I tried to get him to play tennis, and that was not going to work.
Yeah, so we couldn't play tennis together. We didn't enjoy playing golf together. We kept trying to find a sport we could play together. And I will tell you that we actually really enjoy playing pickleball together, and we're trying to get better.
We're about evenly rated, I suppose. So,
and we're just trying to get better to play together. But you know how that is. As in anything, you just have to do it more. So we're hoping, and we're probably won't happen, but we're hoping that if every day we go to work at Dill Dinkers, that maybe that means we get to play more pickleball. I sure hope so.
I want to get an hour in a day at least.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, you got to get on. You
I
got to
hope
get on the court with the camera and get the my duper advice.
Yeah,
that's
there you
right.
go.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you both for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate being on your
Bye.
show.
Don't go anywhere. We're gonna talk after we shut down here. But for all of you listening and watching on YouTube, thank you for joining us on Third Shot, where Bridgie and I will continue to share our pickleball journey. Real special thanks to Karen and Brian for joining us. Please go find them on Instagram at Dill Dinkers Blanco Market, or their Facebook page, which is Dill Dinkers Blanco Market as well. Obviously go to dilldinkers.com. There's so many different ways. I think you're really going to enjoy their facility. If you're traveling into the San Antonio area, or if you live there, for sure, get on the membership. You're going to have a great time. Sounds like a fantastic club. And look for future clubs that they're going to be opening down the road. And let's continue to share our pickleball journey here and continue to grow the game and the pickleball community together. So see you next time on Third Shot Podcast.